Oh, you gotta love this groove, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, baby, yes. That's what I'm talking about. You're listening to, without a shadow of a doubt, the most influential urban conservative talk show in the world. Without a shadow of a doubt. There you go. Gotta love those trumpets. There you go. Yes! Saxophone, trumpets. Got the vibes going there. That's Suave Standpipe. That's the name of the song. It's Suave Standpipe. Beautiful song. Ladies and gentlemen, we are certainly not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republicans and then the Democrats. You know, as much as we want things to go perfectly in life, sometimes they don't. Last night was an example on our program of how things don't work perfectly. But in the end, it all worked out. And so I am very gracious to all of my listeners who stayed with me and who fought the good fight with me. We had a great time playing some rhythm and blues last night. And I'm glad that you're back here tonight. Listen, none other than the beautiful and brilliant Mary Brockman in the chat roll tonight. She is my official bouncer for the Exceptional Conservative Show. And as well tonight in that those who are watching, my beautiful wife, Mrs. Biggs, who isn't feeling too well tonight, and during the commercial I will be ordering some Thai food for her so that she can feel a little bit better. My son and I used to watch the red carpet. That's really nice. All right, thank you. Jess. I love her voice. I really do. I love the accent. Jess. So, ladies and gentlemen, last night, Charles Barkley visited us, and he made the remark, the sensible remark, unlike a lot of the neophytes or the sycophants who are part of the mainstream media, that it was just a very terrible night for the wonderkin known as Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton got beat, and got beat very badly. I mean, very, very badly. It was a demonstrably bad loss for her. And terrible. Thank you, Mary. Just terrible. And quite frankly, everybody was trying to cover it up today. But what was noticed was, quite frankly, she had sent out notifications to the media on how to cover the news story. So if you don't think the media is in the back hip of the Socialist Party of America, better known as the Democrat Party, then you shall know it now. Hillary Clinton sending out those messages. And quite frankly, there is no... I mean, it doesn't matter. If you walk out of a press conference or if you stand on a podium and yell and scream and shriek that you won tonight, even though you lost by 22 percentage points. A loss generally is like 1 or 2, 3, maybe 4 points. Favorably for her where she was, they were looking at more like 8 or 9 points. That woman got whacked. And it doesn't look good based on what it's looking like in South Carolina with her organization trying to get ground troops together and make certain that they can at least... They're trying to say Hillary was the winner. Thank you, Mary. Oh, my God. That takes some real stretch. That's like the stretch marks on a woman after birth. That takes some real stretch in there, baby. She was crushed. Ralph J. Chittams is in the chat roll tonight. The Kraken will be released at 10 p.m. At 9:10, we will be covering, we will be interviewing Raynard Jackson for a very special interview about this event coming up this weekend, which I will be attending. And I got two tables. And I'm filling them up with as many urban conservatives that I possibly can that will spread the good news of conservatism around the world. And I want to thank all of those. There's a whole list of those that I, hell, the gang's all here. Hello. Hey, Ralph. Also, Dave Milner, who is better known as the Unpleasant Blind Guy, is with us tonight. One of the things I want to talk with the Kraken about is, I'm not going to even read the letter to you. I'll read it to you during the time period that the Kraken is on, but I want to play this for you. This is the woman formerly known as the Assistant DC Fire EMS Department Chief, Dr. Juliet Saucy. Okay, now, and everyone knows that Dave Milner and I have been fighting the good fight against the District of Columbia in terms of how they're handling the treatment of individuals by the fire department. In fact, there was a gentleman who died of a heart attack right across the street from a fire station. Let us hear from Dr. Juliet Saucy.
Hi, I'm Larry.
We will not be hearing him. Okay. Okay, all right. I'm telling you, she let loose like I had never heard someone let loose before. She certainly did. And she wrote a letter to Mayor Muriel Bowser here in Washington, D.C. that you could feel it. I got the letter right here in my hands. Okay. And literally, my fingers are burning. That's how violent the addressment was.
For change and reform by DC Fire and EMS continues. Tonight, a scathing resignation letter from the department's medical director, who has stepped down after only 7 months on the job. Fox 5's Marina Morocco is live tonight in Northwest after speaking just moments ago with the director. Marina.
Yeah, and Tony, you know, she'd only been in that position for 7 months, and she had a lot to say. 4 pages worth of words, and like you said, it was scathing, it was direct. Now, she pointed out in boldface in that letter what she believes is plaguing the department. She says it's a culture in that department, including the refusal to measure performance as well as the lack of accountability that's dragging down DC Fire and EMS, and she describes the department with one adjective. She says the situation is, quote, grim, and then she goes on with extremely harsh words. And take a look for yourself, because she says people are dying needlessly because we are, quote, moving too slow. The latest example is a young man stabbed to the chest Wednesday around 10 a.m. He suffered a potentially survivable injury, but it took more than 18 minutes for a transport ambulance to reach the 35-year-old man on 37th Street Southeast. We failed that young man. And then towards the end of the letter, she wraps up by saying, quote, when I see something that can make a difference between life and death and yet is ignored, I must distance myself from that system. Complicity kills, and I will not be a party to that behavior. Now, in the last year, of course, Fox 5 has exclusively reported on several occasions on the delayed response times that in many times have resulted in deaths in those cases. We, of course, address those issues with Dr. Saucy, who made it very clear in her letter. Take a listen to her response.
What's the number one thing that needs to change?
Leadership. And when I say leadership, I don't mean anything personal. This is not personal. This is about doing the right thing.
Is there one suggestion that you could offer, Chief Dean?
Let medicine and science drive decisions, and not NFPA 1710 fire standards that aren't based in any sort of medicine or science about response times.
Now, Now, Mayor Bowser's spokesperson issued a statement saying the mayor has accepted Dr. Saucy's resignation and says in the last year, progress has been made, adding, quote, "We are committed to improving patient outcomes and delivering the change that residents expect and deserve. We will announce an interim medical director later this week." Now, as for the department, a fire official who says has been prohibited from speaking on the record and publicly says that the department feels the letter is full of, quote, inaccuracies, and also adds that there have been, in fact, changes and that the department is committed to EMS reform as is proven by actions the chief has taken. Live tonight in Northwest Washington, D.C., Marina Rocco, Fox 5 Local News.
Ladies and gentlemen, there'll be more on that as we go on tonight. We'll be talking with Raynard Jackson in just a few, but I want you all to remember, without a shadow of a doubt, that we have been recognized as one of the individuals who has held the city to the highest level of public safety, unashamedly and unabashedly. And so it is not a surprise that this letter comes out. We'll talk more about that because I had a conversation with an attorney who was once deputy mayor of the city of Washington, and I'm letting you all know right now, her letter to the mayor, which was made public, could bankrupt the city. We'll be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. You all know what you got to do right about here. Get your right hand out, put it over your chest, and pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Say the parents, ready, begin. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! Woo! We'll be right back with more of the best, I assure you that. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from Washington, D.C., hosted by the exceptional one himself. Sooner or later, we get it all together. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? It doesn't appear that we're getting this together anytime. I tell you. You can always count on the uncountable.
Right swipe. It's gonna be a right swipe. This man has shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh, you stole mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe. Right swipe. I kind of think my sister. It does. But I know she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten.
Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
Left swipe.
This must be some kind of job. If you think you're my type, and I'm my type. If you're gone and it's out of luck, I just left swipe. Bye-bye. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. It's the stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag flexing. Yeah, you work out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, not the six-packs a day.
I came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie. Home line, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of job. If you think you're my type, and I'm not type. If you're gone and it's out of luck, I just left swipe. Bye-bye. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. It's the stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler,
So your trips look expensive, sitting on a mountaintop looking all pensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking you from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Let's like that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Let's like that.
Smoking while acting healthy.
Let's like that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Let's like that.
Smoking with a duck face.
Let's like that.
I don't bust your truck face.
Let's like that.
Smoking at the prom.
Let's like that.
Even in a photo bomb?
You don't care.
Let's like that.
Why you gotta swipe it left?
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
like that.
Why you gotta swipe it left? This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Let's like that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
I'll never remember you.
No, she won't, ladies and gentlemen. She won't remember you, so don't get offended.
Right?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show. We have online with us 1 ringy dingy, 2 ringy dingies, 3 ringy dingies. The great Raynard Jackson. We're still ringing him. Okay, we're not ringing him anymore. Oh man! One day I'm gonna have my own studio. You know, like a real working one. It's amazing. It really is amazing how this happens. And you start off and things are going well, and then whoop, down the pipe. So here we go. Oh man, Raynard Jackson. We're getting ready to call Raynard. See if we can pick him up. Let's see. We're going to try this one more time. 1 ringy dingy. 2 ringy dingies. You know this is my anniversary month. 6 years now. We've been on the air.
This is Marco Rubio. Can I help you?
Marco! Polo!
Oh man, what's going on, my friend?
Oh, Raynard Jackson on the air with us tonight. Raynard Jackson is a big-time celebrity in Washington, D.C. And it's not because he was the person who was resuscitating DMX. It is... Don't you love it? My boy used to put out some really profound rap songs against cops, and now cops have to resuscitate him because of his addiction. Anyway, Raynard Jackson is with us tonight. Raynard Jackson has one of the biggest events going on this weekend, and if you didn't get your ticket, it's not because I didn't try, but this is one of the most posh events in Washington, D.C. for the year. It is the Trailblazers Award. It is the 4th annual Trailblazers Award. And Raynard Jackson, who is the president of Black Americans Making the Future Better, is with us tonight. Good day, sir. Good evening. It's a great pleasure to have you on the air with us.
Yes, well, first of all, I want to give honor to Francine, who's the head of my life. I mean, same difference. Heck, I use them interchangeably because, heck, I've seen God when I look in their beautiful eyes and vice versa. So I'm doing good. Now, that's an inside joke to your audience.
It's an inside.
Your audience who doesn't know, Francine is my girl, it's my buddy, and I pray for her constantly.
You know, I've given her the best years of my life.
That's the unfortunate part. That's the best you have to offer.
You're making her smile. You're making her feel a whole lot better tonight. She wasn't feeling all that well, laying down on the bed in total pain and agony, but she's ferrying through, and we're praying for her strength. You got a big time event coming up this weekend. I mean, huge.
Yeah. In the words of Tom, huge event,
huge.
Believe me. I know how to put on events. Believe me, and I'm very, very wealthy, very, very wealthy, and I know how to put on an event. Believe me.
Are you getting ready to curse? And let me know. So we put in the 5 seconds.
Believe me, I know how to curse. Believe me. I'm going to curse so much in the White House. You're going to say, Mr. Trump, President Trump, please, can you not curse anymore? And I'm going to say, no, I'm going to give the people what I want. And I'm huge. Very, very well.
Raynard Jackson, you're just awesome, man. I mean, what you're putting on in Washington, D.C. Is, first and foremost, God bless you for doing it.
I appreciate that.
Now, in all seriousness, man, and I got a message this afternoon from Terry Galvez. She's coming to this particular event. There are others. Delegate Jill Upson sent me an email saying she's coming to the event. And Dave Wallace, who's running for U.S. Senate out of Maryland, is coming to the event. But they're not the stars. You got some huge celebrities at this event, so much so that we need Secret Service or something.
Well, yeah, for what? Francine is coming, yes.
You know who will be escorting her, right?
No, who?
Yours truly. Dude, I mean, you have Ambassador Harold Doley. You have Fred McClure, who's the CEO of the George H.W. Bush Presidential Library. You have former Florida Lieutenant Governor Jennifer Carroll. Jimmy Jones from the NBA and ABA days, LA Sports Hall of Fame. Allegra McCullough, world-class professor at Webster University. And topping it all off, Robert L. Woodson Sr. And all of them are being honored this weekend at the 4th Annual Black Republican Trailblazer Awards Luncheon. Sir, why are you hosting this event when you could be sitting at home watching the All-Star football game?
You mean basketball game? NBA All-Star game is this weekend. Get your sports straight, I'll tell you.
Gee!
Francine, I'm trying. I am trying, but it's not working. It's not working.
You don't only watch soccer.
I know, soccer's a kick in the grass, man. It really is, man. But but I came up with this concept 4 years ago because it's unfortunate that when you see any commemoration of anything dealing with the civil rights community, the way liberal blacks do it is though black Republicans had nothing to do with civil rights. And a lot of the guys, Bill Coleman, who was one of our first honorees, he was Secretary of Transportation under Ford. He's the first black to ever be appointed to a cabinet level position in 1976. But also, he was a law partner with Thurgood Marshall, and they actually were the brain trust behind arguing Board versus Brown of Education. Now, Secretary Coleman's a lifetime Republican, lifetime member of the NAACP, and the party had never paid homage to him. Bob Brown, the same thing. And so that's what was the impetus behind it is for you to be a black Republican and not know who Bob Brown or Bill Coleman is akin to you being in the NBA and not knowing who Spencer Haywood is, or being in baseball not knowing who Kurt Flood was. And so I wanted to honor some of these older black Republicans who are true trailblazers, who have made a difference in the black community, made a difference in the Republican Party, and made a difference in America at large. And for example, you mentioned Ambassador Harold Doley, one of our honorees Saturday. He is the first black to have a seat on the New York Stock Exchange.
The first one.
Reagan appointee to the African Development Bank. And he lived in Africa under Reagan. Then one of the board members of the African Development Bank, and he has mentored many blacks who now have their own Wall Street firm, but they came through his tutelage, and nobody knows in the party who this guy is.
Wow. Ambassador Harold Doley, starting out in Louisiana, right out of college, and he started working with an investment firm, and the next thing you know, he began to own one. The next thing you know, he buys a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. One of the wealthiest men in America, and very few people know him. Jennifer Carroll is also here, former conservative commando, and once you're a conservative commando, you're always a conservative commando.
No question.
But she is the former lieutenant governor from Florida. Wow, dude.
Yeah, and a 20-year Navy vet, and originally from Trinidad. And so here you have a person, an ethnic black, living the American dream, served their country with distinction for 20 years, was elected to the State House of Florida, and ultimately became the first black female to be lieutenant governor of the state of Florida. And so again, most people don't know who she is. That's crazy. It really is, Ken. And so what we're trying to do with Black Americans for a Better Future and this fourth annual Black Republican Trailblazer Award luncheon is to pay homage to those who have made these positive contributions that the public has no knowledge that
You attend the uphill battle for.
And why the party is not doing a better job of highlighting all this black trailblazer. It just baffles me. It really does.
It does. And I want to tell you all know how a few years ago we were pushing Jill Upson in her first campaign in West Virginia. She was running in a district where it was a majority white Democrat group of voters, and she lost by very few votes the first time she ran. We encouraged her to keep running, and she ran the second time, and she received a little bit of support in that running from the actually she received a lot of some support from Conrad Lucas II. You know him. He normally comes on our program. He is the chairman of the West Virginia GOP. She received some support from him, but not from the national level. And yet she was able to win. And yet very few people know her across the country. Jill Upson, black female Republican, in a majority Democrat district, wins election. And the support's just not there overall for candidates like a Jill Upson. Why is that, sir?
Yeah, but again, excuse me, Ken, not only is the support not there, the knowledge that she exists is not there, which impacts the lack of support. And so one of the things I am committed to you is, since you're bringing her to the event, I will introduce her and bring her up to the microphone, because I need my audience to know who she is, and also I need my audience to contribute to her reelection as well. And these are the things that our group, Black Americans for a Brighter Future, is set up to do, is to find and nurture these black candidates and make sure, to the extent we have some influence, we can get them support, money, and everything else they need so that she can stay in elective office. And hopefully, if she, things go the way she wants, maybe we can get her to do something statewide down the road. So, but, she's got to start somewhere. And so it's amazing that, again, the state and the national party is not highlighting someone like her. It just blows my mind.
Listen, I love me some Stacey Dash. I love looking at Stacey Dash. I'm okay with looking at her. And she got her talking points down pat. But if I want depth and if I want substance, I want to hear Jill Upson. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be, anger baron or anything. I'm just saying, substantively, this woman won a major election in a state, first and foremost, where there are not too many African-American delegates, unless they're Democrats and they're in Morgantown or Charleston. So she's done a tremendous thing. She should be on the curvy couch almost every week or something. Why isn't the media reaching out to her?
They don't know she exists. That's what my answer would. That's how I would postulate my response. They don't know she exists. And so after this event, Ken, I am going to get her profiled in the various media outlets, radio, TV, newspaper, but we have to make sure she gets exposure so that those things you and I are talking about will happen in its due course as far as when you get the exposure, she'll hopefully get the notoriety, the speaking engagement, and that's going to increase her fundraising base. So we got to make sure the general public, not only in West Virginia, but across the country, knows she exists.
We are talking tonight with a very good friend of mine. I truly love Raynard Jackson, despite him being Raynard Jackson.
All right, Francine, smack him.
He is the president of Black Americans Making the Future Better. He is hosting a huge gala event this weekend. And I just want, first and foremost, I don't know what better way of saying thank you to you. I don't know how to say thank you to you for what you did for me for this particular event. Raynard Jackson, and I just want to tell you what these ticket prices are, okay? For the tables that I have, they're worth $25,000 for per table. And my good friend, understanding that we have a purpose here to bring attention to persons running for office like Shannon Wright up in Baltimore, and Dave Wallace in Maryland, and also Mike Webb out in Virginia, and of course Delegate Jill Upson again. He donated those 2 tables to the Exceptional Conservative Show. And I just don't know how to thank you, man. I really appreciate that. This gives an opportunity for individuals who never have the spotlight, who never get this close to people that could really make a financial and electoral difference for them. They don't get this close. And this gives them an opportunity. And you are completely a juggernaut, and I really appreciate you, sir.
Well, no problem. And again, I shouldn't have to keep saying this publicly, but you know I'm doing this only for Francine. I mean, the heck of the Exceptional Conservative, she is my only conservative.
Now, I want everyone to know that he actually spoke to my wife and had secured the 2 tables, and when I came on the phone, he was about to take them away. So I want to thank Mrs. Biggs.
Ken, for you all who don't know, Ken has probably the best wife me and God could have ever created on the face of this earth. Francine is just a dear heart, and so we're always making fun and jokes with each other. And but she's a sweetheart, and you all hopefully sometime we'll get a chance to meet her. She's just a beautiful, beautiful person.
She is, and it is a tremendous honor to be able to sit next to my lovely wife in the company of so many peers in the industry known as politics. We're talking tonight with Raynard Jackson, who has written a very powerful, in fact, 2 weeks of very powerful writings about this particular issue, specifically the absence of the conservative, the urban conservative, and we might as well go the full Monty here and say the black conservative politician from the media presence, from the electoral presence, from the support of the RNC. Now, on the down low, I'll be honest with you, there were some people that I invited who said, "Man, I ain't touching that, man. I ain't going." Can you tell them why guys like and women like that are not wanting to go, even though they're not getting any attention from the RNC? Why they're not going?
Well, who knows why they're not? But I remember when Solomon and I was growing up, and I told him he wanted to go left at this particular corner. I said, go right, and he insisted upon left, and I said, Solomon, there is a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof is destruction. In the Bible, I didn't know he was going to do that. And so you have too many black Republicans, Ken, who are afraid of being who they are. And they're worried about, if they go to this event, because I guess I'm considered really outspoken within the party, but yet no one can argue in my column about the accuracy of what I say and what I write about. People have issues with the fact that I criticize the party, and I think they're wrong, but no one seems to remember all the praise that I give the party when they do something right. And so a lot of this is just DC inside the Beltway stuff. And if you're dying of thirst, really, is it really relevant who's giving you the water as long as you get the water? And so with this event is not about me. It's about the greater good. And as you rightly stated, Ken, to provide a platform for the Jill Upsons and the Shannon Wrights and all these other people that the general public within our party has no knowledge they exist, that they're running or that they're elected to anything, and that the general public has no knowledge who these true trailblazers are. And so it's not about me. If, why is it that I'm the only one who came up with this idea? If someone else had come up with the idea, guess what? There would be no need for me to do this. But since no one else did, I am standing in the breach. And so if people don't want to come for whatever their reasons are, guess what? We got a packed house.
You do. I mean, and I'm very honored. Thank you so much for the tables, man. And you did tell security I can get in, didn't you?
The only security I deal with is Francine. She's my ally, my beginning of my end, my first and my last, my sweet rose of Sharon, my Lily of the Valley, my bright and morning star. So if you get through her, you get through me.
All right, so that means I'm not going. Raynard Jackson with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not received notice, where can people go to get information about this particular event?
Well, they can go to our group's website, Black American for a Brighter Future, abfaf.org. abfaf.org, or just do a Google of Black Republicans for a Better Future, or Google my name, Raynard Jackson, and it will pop up on my website, on the organization's website, on my Facebook, on my Twitter. So once you go on the internet, there's a multiplicity of ways to find us.
Yeah, there truly are. Raynard Jackson doing a tremendous thing this weekend, honoring Black Republican leaders during Black History Month. Of course, the RNC will say that they've already done that. They did that earlier this month. And so why do you need another day in Black History Month?
They did an event. They didn't do a trailblazer.
Mm-hmm.
Because the person they honored is a good friend of mine, Alphonso Jackson, the former Secretary of HUD under Bush. He's not a trailblazer. He's very successful. See, there's a difference between being successful and being a trailblazer. Again, Harold Doley mentored blacks in the finance industry on Wall Street, and now they have their own firm. Colin Powell, when he was Secretary of State, he set up an internship program on all the HBCU campuses to encourage students to look at a career in foreign service. Guess what? That program is still in existence, and Colin Powell has been out of office almost 20 years. So we're looking at, when I say trailblazers, what was your impact when you were an elected official, when you were the CEO of this company, when you were the head coach of this basketball team? Did you leave your fingerprints so that long after you're gone, your memory continues by virtue of the lives you touch? That's what a trailblazer is.
Now,
and so they did an event, but they did not honor a trailblazer.
Wow. Now, some people will say that you don't have the right to do what you're doing because you, my friend, work with the Republican Party and you want to be the superstar, you want to be the man in chief, and you got personality issues. Are those the reasons why the RNC is suing for trademark rights?
Well, it's kind of amazing that I have already been issued a provisional trademark by the Patent and Trademark Office, and it wasn't until 2 weeks ago, and when everyone found that they knew my event was coming up, it was only 2 weeks ago, everyone got interested in claiming ownership of the very name Black Republican Trailblazer Award luncheon that I came up with 4 years ago. So I just find it ironic that they want to contest it in the court of law about something that they had no interest in as recently as 3 weeks ago.
Now, does that put... we're talking with, and I'm going to be very open here. We're talking with Raynard Jackson, who is the president and founder of Black Americans for a Better Future. It is one of the top 100 super PACs in the country. A PAC that will be reaching out to urban conservatives to run for office and to provide spotlights that are disgracefully not availed them in the current RNC environment. But in the sense of them contesting your trademark, doesn't that put a bad taste in the mouth of an urban conservative who says, wait a minute, if the party would do that to Raynard, what would they do to me? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I've gotten a lot of emails and phone calls on that very issue, because if I'm considered an insider and I have 20 plus years of bringing value to the party, if an outsider is looking at the Republican Party, they see the way I have been treated, that gives them a great deal of pause as to why they should join a party that will do one of their own like this. What does a newcomer have to expect? And so the whole thing, I think, is kind of silly, but as I told some folks, that even if they win in the court of law, I guarantee you can't outwin in the court of public opinion.
There you go. There you go. And I don't think that you're going to lose in the law either. I really don't. We're talking with Raynard Jackson, who is a filthy rich billionaire that's being sued by the RNC.
I hope you are profited in that.
But, you know, doesn't, I mean, all of that just sends a message to urban conservatives. We've been told, and you know, I'm a bombastor here. I say get up off your duff and do something. Get out there, run for election. And the DNC, forgive me, the RNC, what's the difference? The RNC... Touche. The RNC says that we're going to reach out to black people, so what we're going to do is put a office up in Detroit so that we can get bottled water sent to Flint, Michigan. You know what I'm saying? How many people have been elected to office since they opened up the shop in Detroit? Yet how many people are hungering for, like Lori Bartley down in Houston, Texas, who's running against Sheila Jackson Lee, and so many others who want some attention but can't get it?
Yeah, I tell you, it's amazing. For example, all these people who are running for offices as a Republican across the country, at a minimum, Ken, don't you think the RNC should have a photo up on their website and a bio saying, hey, this person's running in Houston as a Republican for this congressional seat, they're running for city council? At a minimum, all these candidates should have a bio and a picture on the RNC's website. At a minimum. At a minimum.
Because you and I run across people all the time that say, man, if I knew there was a black man running, I would have voted for him.
Exactly. And so one of the things we're in the process of doing is compiling a comprehensive list of all black Republicans from, whether they're city council, the school board, all the way up through Congress and Senate. I mean, you would think that the National Party would have that data already, but obviously, if they don't know, if they're not doing anything about what Jill Upson and all these other people you're talking about, obviously they're unaware and have no database in place, which I find it hard to imagine. But it's true; it doesn't exist, so we're going to create it.
There you go. Also, want to let you know, Mary Brockman, my bouncer, the official bouncer for the Exceptional Conservative Show, has gone to Facebook and it's asking you to friend her. So if you would friend her during this experience of conversating with the exceptional one.
What, is Francine on the phone?
Mrs. Biggs is watching either by Ustream or live stream. That beautiful woman of mine. Now, how much does it take if? And a lot of people say, "Well, Ken, I'm not going to get involved in running for an election because it's expensive." How much does it take to run basically a general election for a city council seat, and then maybe for Congress? How much are we looking at there?
Well, it depends on the city. If you are running, say, in New York City or Newark, New Jersey, Philadelphia, those are expensive media markets. But I mean, for city council, you're probably going to need a minimum, say, maybe $100,000, $200,000. But what I encourage people to do is to always make sure you have a base in your community, because if you have a base in your community, money becomes less of an important issue. If you serve your community and your local church and your school, sometimes people put too much emphasis on money. And if I have to choose between money and a community base, give me the community base any day of the week.
There you go. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But money helps.
No question. Well, you gotta, and see, this is the other thing, Ken, a lot of candidates, especially new candidates, don't understand, is if you get a candidate that's running for the U.S. Congress, and as a black person, they'll say, well, I came up to D.C. and nobody in the party wants to meet with me. The House congressional campaign doesn't. In a strictly business setting, Ken, if you're running for Congress, say the person running against Sheila Jackson Lee, now the numbers are not in that person's favor because that district is heavily Democratic. And so in order to get the attention of the party on a realistic basis, you got to raise probably close to $500,000 before the House campaign committee will look at you. And this has nothing to do with race. They have this whole standard even for a white candidate running against someone that's entrenched in a safe Democratic seat like that. And so these candidates, we have to train and educate them to be realistic. You can't just run for an office and you have no base of support anywhere, and you don't bring a certain amount of money to the table, either your personal money or just through your network of friends across the country. And so a lot of times, black candidates get frustrated because they thought once they filed the papers that all this support and infrastructure was going to come from the national and the state party, and they will look at this as strictly in a cost-benefit analysis. And so a lot of times, so candidates, I think a lot of times have unrealistic expectations for what kind of help they can get from the state and or national party.
We're talking to Raynard Jackson. You can go to Facebook.com, Raynard Jackson. It's actually Raynard.Jackson. You can befriend him. I would support him. I would encourage you also to get more information about the Trailblazers Award luncheon that's coming up on Sunday at the Willard Intercontinental Hotel, where most people have to hold their noses up right when they're walking through the lobby, and they change their voice.
Yeah, you seem to be pretty good at that.
Yes, I practice.
That's funny.
Oh, those Negroes. It's good to have the Negroes over here getting an award. And the individuals who are being awarded are due the honor indeed. We're talking about Jimmy Jones, a legendary ABA, NBA basketball player and LA Sports Hall of Fame, Robert Woodson Sr., and Colonel Wyatt, a friend of mine who's coming to the event, has been wanting for decades to personally meet Robert Woodson. He will have the opportunity to do that on Saturday night. And why is Saturday night probably more important to an individual who's attending than even Sunday afternoon's luncheon?
Well, number one, you'll get a lot of opportunity to mingle intimately with the 6 honorees, and then also you get a chance to hear more details about their personal and professional journey. And then we have Algebra, the R&B singer, who has a beautiful, beautiful voice and a classy woman. She's a cross between, say, India Ari and Alicia Keys. And her music is phenomenal. And, of course, we got our mutual buddy, Bria Marie. She's going to be performing as well. So that's more of the social side of the occasion. And then Sunday, we're going to have the actual luncheon and the award ceremony. And so Saturday night is just strictly just having lighthearted fun. And, of course, as long as my buddy Francine is there and if she has a face on her smile, we're going to tear the roof off the mother sucker.
Now, I'm just wanting to know, will there be ethnically a supportive music at this particular environment? Because all of us would love to get down, if you know what I mean.
No, bloody good show, Jeff. Yes, we will learn. We will have plenty of opportunity, my dear chap, to cut the rug as we see.
Oh my goodness! Now there was a nasty article put out at the end of January by The Intercept called "Black Americans for a Better Future." It's a super PAC, 100% funded by rich white guys. How did you take that, sir? And why do you believe that they presented that type of writing about your organization?
Oh, I didn't think twice about it. Several people, my IT guy called and asked if I wanted him to remove the comments on our Facebook page. I said, heck no. I said, no, let my supporters go on there and they can have a running dialogue with these people, number one. Number two, again, Ken, as I said earlier, if you're dying of thirst and someone offers you some water, you're not going to ask the race of the person who's giving you the water. You're not going to ask for their party registration. You're not going to ask for their zip code. You're not going to ask do they have a college degree. You want water. And so if I have a few wealthy guys who believes in the visions of trying to make the party a better party to the extent that we can win an election as a result, I'm not going to question their ethnicity when they're trying to further a cause, number one. Number two, factually, those articles are inaccurate because if you look at our contribution list, we have tons of blacks, Asian, Hispanic who are giving us money now. Some of them have not given 6 figures, but the point being, we have a broad base of support, not just a few people supporting us. So sometimes grandma used to say, when you have the truth, why do you argue with people?
Yeah, it makes no sense at all. Now, you know that you're going up against a market force that blames your lack of genetic material mentally for you choosing to be a Republican in the first place, and then to create a PAC where you're trying to help other people who have a genetic intention to move towards being Republicans. That you are a threat, man. You really are. Because before, when it was just people running for office, you get called Uncle Tom, you get jossed about, people say things about you, but you would lose your race and people would move on. You got money now. And that speaks greater volumes than anyone on just principle alone. Should there be more PACs like yours helping urban conservatives run for elections around the country?
Well, I don't know so much about more versus the substance and the quality. If we have others who are going to be very serious and substantive, I say the more the merrier. But we just don't need more just for the sake of having numerical bean counting being done. I'm actually interested in a whole plethora of things, again, from supporting candidates in our communities across the country to providing TV training, because over the next quarter, Ken, we're going to actually have people who are affiliated with our group be surrogates on all the talking head shows, in the newspaper, on radio shows, pushing back on this liberal orthodoxy that goes unchallenged. Why the RNC does not have that, I don't know, but we can spend the rest of our lives talking about woulda, shoulda, coulda. So be what you're looking for. If you see what the problem is and the institution doesn't want to address it, or it doesn't address it in the way you think they should, then you go out there in your own way and address it. And that's what we're going to do.
You have done so, sir, and we're very proud of you, very thankful for your work. You are a trailblazer in your own right. And once again, how can people get in contact with you about the event, which is virtually sold out at this particular juncture, but nevertheless, I'm quite certain we can squeeze some people in at the Willard Intercontinental Hotel this weekend. How can people get in contact with you, sir?
They can send an email, go on the website of BABF.org. BABF.org. That's for Black Americans for a Better Future.org. You can do Google me, Raynard Jackson, or go on my corporate website, RaynardJackson.com, and that invitation on the main page there. Go on my Facebook, Raynard Jackson, Twitter, Raynard1223, or you can call my press secretary at Ken McClinton.
Oh, man, I'll get your coffee in the morning, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Raynard Jackson doing something that was absolutely missing in urban America. Now you have principally someone who can mentor, tutor, and fund campaigns. We are finally a fear to those on the left. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Anytime, my friend, and I'll see you Saturday.
See you Saturday, sir. Ladies and gentlemen,
bye-bye.
I'm telling you, people on the left, when they make jokes about this, and when they write dirty, because nobody's talking about Jeb Bush spending $35 million to come in 5th place. Nobody's talking about that. But you're talking about a man who's raising money so that urban Americans have an opportunity to really diversify on opinions in the political marketplace, and he comes under attack. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you without a shadow of a doubt, if we don't fund each other, it's going to be difficult to fight the enemy. Whether it's the American Revolutionary War, the Civil War, or the war between conservatives and socialists. We'll be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. At 10 p.m., we will release the Kraken. And as well, at 10:30, Shannon is on center stage. Shannon Wright will be joining us from Baltimore, talking about some events that have happened regarding child abuse and her legislative opinion regarding that. There is so much more coming up on this particular program. We thank you so much for tuning in around the world on Rebooting Liberty, SHR Media, and High Plains Talk Radio. If you're not favoriting those three, something's wrong with you. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use French Italian sausage that they cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burgers. When we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burger, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burgers, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit. Order up!
Ladies and gentlemen, you should order up. You should do it right now. You know what to do. It's very easy, and I don't know why I have to go through this every week. It's just very simple. 3939 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland 20745. That's 301-449-9000. Why is this thing doing this? You gotta wonder sometimes why things just don't go the way you want them to. But
Hi, my name is.
Yeah, I know. Definitely infuse.com. Make sure that you go there. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back right after this, and we will start up the second half with none other than Releasing the Kraken, Ralph Chittams. Would you join me in a simple pledge of allegiance on the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital, where we are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Democrat.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know, I can't get enough of saying the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a great nation, a wonderful nation, one in which many lives have fallen, much blood spilled to keep it free. And it's going to take you and me in the polls and outside of it doing the very same thing to make certain that our nation remains a free, liberty-based nation. Ladies and gentlemen, conservatism is running wild through the streets of Washington, D.C. tonight because the Exceptional Conservative Show is on the air live. In the chat roll with me tonight, I want to give honor where honor is due, of course. Mary Brockman, my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Dave Milner, who is the unpleasant blind guy, with us tonight. Ralph J. Chittams will be coming on in just a few moments. He's in the chat roll tonight. Cal Fritzy, the most beautiful Canadian on radio. Yes. And she actually produces every Blog Talk radio show. I don't know where she finds the time, but she does it. Wonderful. Glad to have you here. We love you. And also, Pastor Shannon Wright will be joining us at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be talking about Shannon on center stage. Now, without further ado, I want to present to some and introduce to others a gentleman who is, on the finer scale of life, one of the most boisterous men and rabble-rousers you will ever find around a group of Democrats. He is none other than our Kraken, and we are releasing him right now, Ralph J. Chittams, D.C. GOP Vice Chairman. All right. That's one ringy-dingy.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. What a great honor to have you on the air with us tonight.
Always a pleasure. How are you, Mr. Exceptional One?
We are doing just fine, and we have released the Kraken tonight. Sir, big news story, because this wasn't just dropping the mic. This was dropping the audio-visual system to the ground. Dr. Julia, what is it? Let's get her name here right. Dr. Juliet Saucy, who was the director and assistant fire chief for DC Fire EMS, made some powerful remarks. I'm going to play them again for you so you can hear them, and so everyone else around the world can hear them. There were some powerful remarks made, and I want your commentary on that. Here we go.
Change and reform by DC Fire and EMS continues. Tonight, a scathing resignation letter from the department's medical director, who has stepped down after only 7 months on the job. Fox 5's Marina Morocco is live tonight in Northwest after speaking just moments ago with the director. Marina.
Yeah, and Tony, you know, she'd only been in that position for 7 months, and she had a lot to say. 4 pages worth of words, and like you said, it was scathing, it was direct. Now, she pointed out in boldface in that letter what she believes is plaguing the department. She says it's a culture in that department, including the refusal to measure performance as well as the lack of accountability that's dragging down DC Fire and EMS, and she describes the department with one adjective. She says the situation is, quote, grim, and then she goes on with extremely harsh words. And take a look for yourself, because she says people are dying needlessly because we are, quote, moving too slow. The latest example is a young man stabbed to the chest Wednesday around 10 a.m. He suffered a potentially survivable injury, but it took more than 18 minutes for a transport ambulance to reach the 35-year-old man on 37th Street Southeast. We failed that young man. And then towards the end of the letter, she wraps up by saying, quote, when I see something that can make a difference between life and death and yet is ignored, I must distance myself from that system. Complicity kills, and I will not be a party to that behavior. Now, in the last year, of course, Fox 5 has exclusively reported on several occasions on the delayed response times that in many times have resulted in deaths in those cases. We, of course, address those issues with Dr. Saucy, who made it very clear in her letter. Take a listen to her response.
What's the number one thing that needs to change?
Leadership. And when I say leadership, I don't mean anything personal. This is not personal. This is about doing the right thing.
Is there one suggestion that you could offer, Chief Dean?
Let medicine and science drive decisions, and not NFPA 1710 fire standards that aren't based in any sort of medicine or science about response times.
Now, Mayor Bowser's spokesperson issued a statement saying the mayor has accepted Dr. Saucy's resignation and says in the last year, progress has been made, adding, quote, we are committed to improving patient outcomes and delivering the change that residents expect and deserve. We will announce an interim medical director later this week. Now, as for the department, a fire official who says has been prohibited from speaking on the record and publicly says that the department feels the letter is full of, quote, inaccuracies, and also adds that there have been, in fact, changes and that the department is committed to EMS reform, as is proven by actions the chief has taken. Live tonight in Northwest Washington, D.C., Marina Morocco, Fox 5 Local News.
Hey, Marina, quick question for you. Just to be clear, when she mentioned that she thought leadership needed to change, was she specifically talking about the chief, or was she talking about the mayor?
You know, I did ask her that question, and I believe that she was referring to the chief. She did also say that the mayor never replied to her following the resignation letter, only just a few days ago, or maybe just yesterday, submitted a receipt for that resignation. That letter was submitted more than a week ago, and her final date will be Friday, and she says she's yet to hear from the mayor.
All right, Marina Morocco, thank you.
Sir, Mr. Washington, go for it. Your commentary.
This is just typical of the District of Columbia. The problem isn't always at the top. The problem is also at the middle manager level and below. And what you have here is a system that is completely dysfunctional. And, And the union, honestly, in this instance, has a big part of the blame to accept, because they're letting these guys run around, half-trained, untrained, undisciplined. They're taking the ambulances out of service for hours at a time. They don't know where the ambulances are. And as you said earlier in your segment, in your first hour, the first paragraph on page 3 of her letter means that anybody who has an adverse reaction to EMS and anything that has happened to them, even going back 5 years, should hire a lawyer. And you are absolutely right. The District of Columbia very well could go bankrupt as a result of the incompetence and the ineptness of our emergency medical transport system.
We are talking with the great Kraken himself. You can hear him on Radio 1 on Mondays with Roland Martin, but he is also DC GOP vice chairman and a Washingtonian like myself. And you can only laugh at this point because I was talking with an attorney who was for former deputy mayor of the city, and he said he wished he was back in private. He retired. He wished he was back in private practice so that he could just do the discovery. He's talking about just on the case that she mentioned about the 37-year-old. We're talking about possibly a double-digit $1 million case. We're talking maybe $10-15 million just off of that one case alone from a lawsuit and settlement with the District of Columbia based on what she said in this letter. This letter, lawyers have wanted this kind of information for decades. They finally got it in the letter from the assistant chief.
This is the holy grail right here. This is discovery gold. And see, people also remember, and they forget, that the former chief of police, Ellerby, the one who was, not chief of police, the fire chief, Ellerby, the one who was contemplating running for city council in Ward 7, when he was the chief of the fire department, moved EMS units out of the residential black communities in Ward 7 and Ward 8 and moved them into the downtown business corridor during the day so that the lobbyists and the lawyers who had heart attacks could get to the hospital, but the people who lived in the city, who were paying the taxes, that paid his salary, who were living in Ward 7 and 8, did not have access to the EMS services.
You're talking about spun gold here. And I want Ellerby, and I had private discussions with an assistant with a council member today who said that was one of the biggest blunders in DC history, merging the two, EMS and the fire, because you virtually have created a system that won't work, can't work, never will work. And now they got solid gold here. But let me read to you a paragraph. And for those who follow along at home, you're listening to the great Ralph J. Chittams, who is DC GOP vice chairman and a good friend of mine, great commentator too. I asked, this is Dr. Salsi writing, I asked when I arrived to be able to assess the competency of at least the ALS providers in the department. It was initially supported by the chief, who has little to no experience running an EMS system. Oh, this is gold. You ain't got to be a good attorney. You can make a fortune here in DC now. But as soon as the local 36 warned that it would not happen as it would cause undue stress on its members, some were studying for a fire promotional exam to be given in April 2016. The formal assessment was pushed to the side. Literally, you don't know how competent these people are. They're picking you up to give you mouth to mouth. You know what I'm saying?
And since when do non-medical personnel supervise medical personnel? That's a bigger issue. You know, these guys running around on these EMS trucks, they know nothing. If they show up on the scene of an accident and a registered nurse is on the scene doing triage, just the pecking
truck has to do what that nurse tells him to do because that nurse outranks him in the structure. So how are you going to then have some firemen, and God bless firemen, because if I'm in a house that's on fire, I want a fireman to come in. But how is a fire chief with no medical expertise supposed to supervise a medical technician who needs to be supervised by a medical professional? It was absolutely stupid to merge those two units.
It is, and yet there is no political will to correct the matter, and everyone's trying to cut.
There will be now with the lawsuits start hitting.
Oh, you talking, and you're right. You're right, Rob. We're talking about at least $10 million on this one. On this one, there have been alone. If you get 5 or 6 or maybe 10 of these babies, you can forego some of that increase in affordable housing funding and all those other things that you want. Baby, this is fool's gold. This is gold right here. What I have in my hands is the letter. This is gold. Absolute gold.
Anybody who has been transported by EMS to a hospital in the last 5 years should hire a lawyer, go to discovery, find out how long it took them to get to you, how long it took them to get you to the hospital, what kind of treatment did they give you, did they give you the proper treatment, and I can almost guarantee you in most of the cases you're going to find something lacking, and the district is going to start writing out some big checks.
You will bring EMS to a halt for the number of people that will be hauled into court just for testimony purposes. Just for testimony.
What you will do, you think Puerto Rico's got financial problems and is about to go bankrupt? You ain't seen nothing yet.
You ain't nothing. And today we're getting word that the District of Columbia has a $160 million deficit that it has to resolve before the close of the fiscal year, and we're already going into a budget year where they're behind the 8 ball, and now this drops on top of the homicide issue for the district. Public safety has had a serious black eye in Washington, D.C., Ralph.
Of course it has, because crime gets attention, but the punishment side doesn't get any attention.
Yeah.
All they want to do is throw money at the problem. We can social service our way out of this issue. We can give you self-esteem. How do you give somebody self-esteem? But that's another story for another show.
I want to
spend its money foolishly.
You're absolutely right. Listen, I want to play this clip. This is from HLNTV.com. It is about Cecil Mills. Cecil Mills is a gentleman who had worked with the DPR, Department of Parks and Recreation. They keep changing the name of it. It once was Recreation of the Parks. Now it's Parks and Recreation. We'll switch it back one day. It doesn't matter. But the bottom line is he had been working with them for over 40 years. He was still working with them on a part-time basis. He was out shopping with his family right across the street from a fire station in Northeast Washington, D.C. Let me play this clip here.
In a stunning discovery, we learned firefighters refused to cross the street to save a dying dad. We want answers.
I just felt helpless in my city. 77-year-old Cecil Mills collapsed right across the street from the fire station. His daughter says they could see a firefighter watching the chaos, but he refused to help them. I even ran to the curb and said, "Are you going to help me or are you going to let my dad die?"
Rita Cosby, I'm sick. I've worked with a lot of firefighters in arson investigations, and they were impeccable. What happened?
This is a horrible story. 77-year-old Cecil Mills was shopping at a shopping center, went into cardiac arrest. He was with his family, and the family said, hold on, there's a fire department right across the street, Station 15. The daughter frantically knocked on the door and begged for help, and they refused to come.
You know, what excuse did they give, Rita, as to why they wouldn't cross the street to save a dying dad?
Well,
and he died. It's not that he was dying. He died.
First, the rookie firefighter who answered the door said, wait a minute, let me check with my supervisor to see if I can answer the call. Can you imagine the daughter just frantically banging on the door and begging for help? And then when that rookie firefighter came back, he said, my lieutenant said, no, we're not allowed to do it. We need an official call from 911. And when the call came from 911, they sent it to the wrong address, not even to that fire station, and it took 20 minutes.
Rita, I don't know if you remember this or not, but in my last book that came out, we were having a book thing here in New York. I think you were there. And my father, who is a heart patient, fell out. Can I tell you how fast New York police, firefighters, they didn't care. Everybody converged to try to save him. And he was saved. You know, Clark Goldbeard, this is making me just sick. This man is dying. His daughter is banging on the firehouse door. It's basically right down the street. And they refuse to help him. And he lays there and dies.
And Nancy, it's even perhaps closer than right down the street. Take a look behind me. From the shopping center over here to the fire station, we're talking 260 feet. Put that in perspective, that's not even a football field. And Nancy, more than one person, according to reports, making the pleas for help, desperate pleas for help, but there seemed to be some sort of miscommunication inside the firehouse. Someone asked me where the...
A miscommunication. Clark, did you just say... That's non-connect to me. The woman is banging on the door. My father's dying, and you said there's a miscommunication?
This is the stuff they tell you. Am I right, Ralph? This is the stuff that's legitimately told to people about public safety in D.C. A miscommunication.
Well, and truthfully, what we have is exclude a protocol system. Because, first things first, if somebody walks to the fire, using that same logic, that they couldn't go across the street to help a man who was having a heart attack, using that same logic, if I ran across the street to the fire station to tell them my house was on fire, they'd have to wait until the 911 call came in. See how stupid?
That's just stupid. Ralph, I gotta ask you this question.
The issue they let the lieutenant retire in the midst of the investigation. So she walks off with her full pension, not even a blip in her service record, and she clearly is the one who made the ultimate decision that led to Cecil Mills' death.
Gotta ask you this question. If the lieutenant who made that decision, who later retired, were white, will we be having this conversation, Ralph, in D.C.?
If she were white?
Yeah.
We would talk. I don't even know. I mean, that's a really good question.
You know,
because I hate to say this, because I really think if the lieutenant were white, they'd have come out of the fire station.
Yeah.
I think if the lieutenant were white, they would have done their damn job.
Yeah, but in this particular case, if this lieutenant were white, you and I both know that Black Lives Matter would be all over the fire station. There would be calls for resignations. There would be marching in the streets. Has that happened since Cecil Mills died?
Well, let's not even bring up Black Lives Matter. Because for Black Lives, they're only focused on a certain segment of Black lives that matter. So if it doesn't fit into their little narrow universe, it doesn't even matter. Even if the other Black lives that matter are dying at 100% of the rate of the little universe that they want to talk about. So, Black Lives Matter, they can do what they want to do. But for the most part, for most black people in this country, the Black Lives Matter movement is irrelevant.
Yeah, it most certainly is. We're talking tonight with my very good friend, Ralph J. Chittams. We have Released the Kraken for the evening. Want to move from here because I'll talk about this a little bit more with Shannon Wright. We are working on this particular project with Open Heart Closed Case, and we'll be talking about it in the future, especially on Saturday when there is a Faith Leaders Breakfast. at the Arc on 1901 Mississippi Avenue Southeast, Washington, D.C. 20032. For all you down low preachers who are listening to my program, you're now required, because you heard, to attend. I want to ask you, sir, regarding the race last night. If you were a betting man, would you have bet the whole house last night on Bernie Sanders?
I would have bet on him winning. I wouldn't have bet on him beating on her the way Mike Tyson beat on him. Well, you know my sense of humor. The last time I saw a woman get beat that bad, she was dragged out of an elevator.
Welcome to the NFL.
That's terrible. I think she lost by, but here's the part here's what should really anger everyone in America, and I mean everyone in America. Bernie Sanders beat her by 22 points in New Hampshire. Okay? Hillary Clinton still walked out of New Hampshire with more delegates than Bernie Sanders.
Wow.
He won more New Hampshire delegates than Bernie Sanders, even though he beat her by 22 percentage points, simply because she had the commitment of the superdelegates in New Hampshire who committed to her before the first citizen ever cast a vote in New Hampshire.
Wow.
So even though she lost by 22 points, she still walked out of New Hampshire with more New Hampshire delegates. Now, everybody in America should be mad about that.
They should. And also in the Republican Party, we need to get rid of the super delegates so that your vote really makes a difference. When you have guys who get lobby money, who are sitting there and making deals behind closed doors with cigars ablaze, you most certainly are being ostracized and oppressed and kept apart from the electoral experience. You got to get rid of the super delegates altogether.
Right, but there's the difference between there's one major difference between Democrats and Republicans. The Democrats have two different types of superdelegates, and Republicans just have one. The one that Republicans have, every state party sends its chairman and its two committee persons to the National Convention as superdelegates. Now, those individuals are elected inside of each individual state to represent the Republicans in that state, and they go to the convention as superdelegates. The Democrats, in addition to doing that, they have this second pool of people who are the power brokers who get to go to the convention as superdelegates, and that's where I think your real corruption comes from.
Yep.
And also, the Republicans only have 168 superdelegates that go to the convention. The Democrats have well over 300.
Wow. So
you can see the difference that superdelegate structure makes. If you're a Democrat, you have really diluted the vote of the people.
We're talking tonight with the Release Kraken, and he's about to go out of go back into his containment until next week. But Ralph, any big news that we should be watching coming forward in the following weeks?
Well, for those of you who have TV One, I'll be on Roland Martin's show again this Friday morning at 7 a.m. So please tune in and watch me hold down the conservative side of the aisle. Your next guest, Pastor Shannon Wright, her campaign is off and blazing. I really do believe that Baltimore is going to be the tip of the spear that's going to lead the conservative movement in this country in showing other cities how to run Republican
conservative campaigns that will bring a positive impact to the people. If anyone wants to get in touch with me, I'm on social media. I use my name, RJ Chittams Sr. If you want to drop me a note, ralph.chittams@dcgop.com, and we're just going to keep the ball moving down the field.
Praise God. Listen, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We will be watching Friday at 7 a.m. the Roland Martin Show. News. Thanks to you, his ratings are going up. You need better pay.
Yeah, I know that. He definitely gets a blip when I come on.
Release the Kraken. Thank you so much, Ralph Chittams. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with none other than Shannon Wright taking center stage.
That's terrible.
We'll be right back.
I'm a good person, more than anybody, but I can't afford a nice house in a safe neighborhood. I live in a government high-rise. Gangbangers and drug dealers walk down our halls every day. My neighbors and I were scared. We called the police, but they can't keep us safe. Some of us are too afraid to even leave our apartments. But the housing authority told me if I bought a gun to protect myself, they throw me to the streets. If I'm not free because of my address today, what makes you think you'll be free tomorrow? I marched behind Martin Luther King at Selma. I know my rights. Now I have my gun. I am the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
Only hours after an attack of radical jihadi terror on American soil, the New York Daily News became the loudest, vilest, most condescending voice for what many people call the godless left. These false prophets, at this failing excuse for a newspaper, claim to enjoy special knowledge of God's plan somehow, even as they mocked the entire concept of religion. But they weren't alone. As a horrific act of terror unfolded in real time, the majority of Americans turned to earnest prayer for the dead, the wounded, their families, and the world, while political and media elites joined forces to insult and mock and disparage them, and in so doing, laid bare the utter moral depravity of the godless left. This was a coordinated assault on the two freedoms they hate the most, our right to believe and our right to survive. In the minds of millions, it brought back memories of Barack Obama sneering at the majority of Americans who cherish their faith and their firearms. The godless left's global alliance of elitists and media activists and Hollywood celebrities and campus radicals and political power mongers, they openly attack sacred American values and the people who cherish them with ruthlessness and contempt and downright hatred. Driven by an unholy arrogance, these saboteurs are determined to destroy our history and eviscerate our rights and create a new America in their own image. With no values or principles of which to speak, the godless left advances its power by any means necessary, namely shaming and silencing any dissent. As America's national security collapses beneath them, they come together to purge the facts and protect their agenda. When Al-Qaeda killed 4 Americans in Benghazi, the queen of the movement, Hillary Clinton, she blamed it on a video. And the media raced to protect that lie. They whitewashed the killer's motives at the Boston Marathon and at Fort Hood. They refused to cover our utter abandonment of immigration law. They don't report on the drug cartels and the human traffickers who have invaded our borders and embedded in every single American city. They buried the unconscionable scandals at the VA, the weaponizing of the IRS, and the disastrous billion-dollar healthcare website. They even excused the outright lie of,
if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor.
And as Chicago devolves into utter anarchy and a 9-year-old child is assassinated by cold-blooded killers who should have been in prison under the existing federal gun laws, the godless left refuses to report on its own guilt. And now, when a radical Islamic terrorist killed 14 innocents in California, they did everything possible, for as long as possible, in the face of the evidence, to sell the American people on workplace violence and their political Kool-Aid of so-called common sense gun laws.
We also need to make it harder for people to buy powerful assault weapons.
They openly demonize Christmas and Christianity, but say nothing of the only religion in the world that contains a segment which condones this terrorism. Americans know the difference between a radical few and a peaceful majority. But through thuggish accusations of racism and xenophobia, the godless left has made it nearly impossible to honestly discuss the burning world that surrounds us. And in doing so, they created the environment where the San Bernardino killer's neighbor didn't report suspicious activity for fear of being seen as profiling.
She was kind of suspicious and was wanted to report it, but she said she didn't want to profile.
And days later, these monsters carried out their unconscionable act of evil. As the families of the victims in San Bernardino called out to their fellow Americans for prayer, the godless left launched a vitriolic attack on the twin pillars of American freedom, the First and the Second Amendments. These saboteurs share the same fanatical fervor to tear apart the foundations of America as the terrorists who threaten our very survival. And together, they march hand in hand toward the possible, purposeful destruction of us all. These elites of the godless left, they're the infidels of freedom. And we say to them that we will never, ever sacrifice our God-given rights to believe and to survive.
Welcome back. Get your workout on. Oh yeah, I think I lost like a quarter of a calorie there. Oh wow. I really want to thank all of the lovely people that I have on Sackheads Radio Night. This is Wednesday night, Sackheads Radio Night. Please go to Sackheads Radio. We're going to put that in the website so that people will be able to go to it. But my friends who are in the chat roll are commenting about my hairstyle. I'm very apologetic about my hairstyle simply because it gets curly this time of the year, and it does look like I have a bald spot in certain places. It just looks that way. Really, I have a lot of hair, and it grows very quickly. And I do have a widow's peak, but V-Beauties, Veronica McCormick, who's been doing my hair for over 2 years now, I truly love the way she cuts my hair. She won't cut it the way I want it. I want it to be cut in such a fashion where the peak is so evident, it makes me look evil. That's what my wife won't let me do it, apparently. And I want to thank my executive producer and clothier, Mary Brockman. Thank you. I will take your suggestion on the razor this weekend. Thank you, Kale. Thank you, girlfriend. You're sexy, too. love being a conservative. You gotta love being conservative. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up now is Shannon Wright. Shannon on center stage is with us. And I just like that I lost her number. Isn't that something? You used to tell that to women and they didn't believe you. But no, I actually lost your number that quickly. But you mean so much to me. I tell you, Shannon Wright is running for office in the great city of Baltimore, Charm City, of course. And hopefully the Lucky Charm will be her winning. So there you go. One ringy dingy. Two ringy dingies. This is a no commercial portion of the show. We're no more commercials after this.
The person you are calling does not wish to talk with callers who got their number.
Okay. I tried. And I can't get through on that number. Oh, man. Just let me know if it's okay if I call you on the other number. And I believe that we will get a good connection tonight. I really do. I want to thank everybody. Slumlord is in there tonight. That's better known as Professor. He'll be with us tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be simulcasting his show and my show through New Day Black and Red and Veronica Mars. Bruno Mars, great job at the Super Bowl. The rest of them sucked. All right, so Pastor call sale. Okay, all right. We're gonna call this number. Okay, she's running for city council president in the wonderful Charm City. One ringy dingy, two ringy dingies, three ringy dingies, four ringy dingies. We're calling. We are getting through.
Good evening.
Good evening. It is so good to have you on with us tonight. None other than the beautiful and brilliant Shannon Wright. Shannon Wright takes center stage.
Well, hello.
It's so good to have you on there. Listen, you're running for city council president. How's that going?
It's going wonderful. At this point, being from the other party that folks in your city don't recognize so much, my job, as I see it, is really to just get under the incumbent's skin and ruffle his feathers. And I feel in that case, in that regard, I'm being successful.
Well, most certainly. Before we get to that, I want to address something that happened in Prince George's County. I know it's not your county. I know Baltimore City and then Baltimore County, and those are the only counties that make a difference outside of Annapolis. But PG County, recently there was a gentleman who was arrested for years of abusing children, putting them in sexual relationships and positions and filming them and creating pornography off the children at the elementary school. I wanted your commentary on that and exactly what's going on with our systems here in the U.S.
Well, that's a loaded question right there. And I'm not sure your show is long enough to address. There are several issues and broken points. You brought up the fact that this particular incident isn't in Baltimore, so it's kind of out of my area. But there seems to be, and I really thought it was a local thing, but there seems to be a prevalence of systems just breaking down. And I mean public safety kind of information kind of systems just breaking down. I mean, if you bear with me a minute, and I can take that from that particular story to something that has been going on here in Baltimore. There is a young lady, 14 years old, who is the daughter of a friend of mine, an associate, and she's been missing for over a week. And I've enlisted
the assistance of some folks in trying to help find her, yourself included. And many folks have been saying, as they've looked at the different resources, or some of the, more to the point, some of the Baltimore City resources and databases, some of them have not been updated since 2006.
Woo! Wow! So you mean to tell me children have been missing? Children have been missing, and there have been reports, and there's been no updates since. Who's in charge of that in Baltimore City? Who's the council member?
Well, my understanding is that obviously it's run by the police department, and this is Baltimore. And I say it that way because when I tried to find out the answer to that very question, I attempted to reach the public information officer for the police department. And when I called the number that was listed on the site after doing research to find it, I was told he wasn't in that building, he was in the other building. So I called the other building, and they said they didn't know who I was talking about. So,
wow.
If you can't find the public information officer for the police department, it stands to reason you can't find public information. And I know I'm saying in a way that may make some people chuckle, but this is serious.
This is very serious. The public information officer can't be found in the police department. That's absolutely ridiculous, and not have any posters. And I was talking with a council member's assistant in Washington, D.C. this afternoon. And when you go, and I'm going to put this up so that people understand what I'm talking about in terms of MPD missing persons for the District of Columbia. There is a listing called Critical Missing Persons. And there is literally, and I do mean with all regard, literally just one person listed under critical missing persons. That person is Relisha Rudd. I know for a fact since 2014 there have been more than just that one person who was missing or a missing person, and some of those cases ended up being homicides. So this is what we're dealing with, America. This is what we're talking about open heart, closed case. That's why she's running in elections up there. That's why I'm fighting across the country. This is what our children are being sacrificed because it's not a political will to do anything about it.
In doing my research to help this particular family here in Baltimore, I found that this whole I-95 corridor, and specifically between D.C. and Baltimore, is known for human trafficking.
Yes.
I had no idea, and I guess, I didn't think I'd let it shelter life, but I really had no idea the extent of the problem. This is, I can't say it enough, this is serious. You've got, in this situation, we dealt with the school. The parent reported the child missing at the school. Now, the parent didn't ask all the questions they probably should have because they were a little preoccupied with the fact that their child was missing, granted. Well, the parent went back to the school some days later, and the school said, we were going to call you. Your daughter was in school yesterday. Now, hold up.
Wow.
School police officers, because that's kind of where we're at this point to try and keep the building safe. You've got school administrators who were notified in person and in writing that a child was missing. And a day later, after that child was seen in school, then you notify somebody?
Wow.
The whole system is broken.
Wow.
I mean, on so many levels. When I declared that I was running for office, I had my reasons and my platforms and my issues for why I wanted to run. And this one has just kind of shifted everything to the side a little bit. Because when grown folks, it's not politically correct to say this, but when grown folks do something stupid, that's grown folks. That's their business.
Yeah.
But when children fall through the cracks, I mean, just like the rabbit hole, just like down there, priority problem.
We are talking tonight with the next City Council President for Baltimore, Shannon Wright. We're talking about human trafficking. We're talking about the whole concept that our system is broken and that our children have been put at risk in America, and especially the I-95 corridor. I mean, from Baltimore to Boston to New York, and Miami, D.C., Richmond. The bottom line is our children are being taken from cities like Washington, D.C. By gang members, being tricked out in city. They've traveled up to New York or down to Miami, being tricked out and then sent back onto the streets.
I really did not realize. I mean, I knew it existed, but I really didn't realize how badly this broken system just kind of feeds into it. I mean, there are things that I can't say to the family and some of the research that I found. I just personally can't do it. But the longer this child stays missing, the less chance she's coming back.
Yes.
There's just too much going on out there, and too many systems are broken. You know, this week, or within the last week, there was a big hoopla in Baltimore about, yay, current city council president Jack Young wrote a piece of legislation for a $30 million youth fund. Now, ordinarily, that would be awesome. And the city council approved it unanimously. That would be awesome. Except the way he did it was he attached 3% annually to the city budget in a non-lapsing fund. So,
wow.
You attach the youth to a budget that hasn't been audited based on what you think might be there, and make it in perpetuity non-lapsing. So you're not really getting that money out for the youth, number one. And number two, it would seem to me that if your heart is really for the youth, and in the article, which I will post a link for, he said that he's been thinking about this for some years. Well, how many children in those some years have fallen through the cracks of these broken systems here in Baltimore?
Exactly.
And that is enough.
Exactly. We're talking tonight about our children with Shannon Wright. We only have a few more moments to go, but I definitely... Getting the feedback, forgive me. I definitely want to talk with you about the simple fact of the matter regarding Wright from Maryland and the work that you were doing over the weekend to try to find this little girl. Well, she's not a little girl. She's 14 years old. She's 5 foot 8 inches tall. It's pretty tall for her age. And she's been missing for a week in Baltimore. And what is the public outcry? I'm quite certain the public is just demonstrably upset about this, and they're marching all over the place, and they're wondering where the little girl is, and there's probably a vigil or something. I'm quite certain that that's what's happening, right?
I can hear the crickets chirping.
Wow. So literally, this little black princess, because I want to go with the race. I'm going to say race here tonight because I always hear people complaining about the white people holding me down. This little black princess has been missing from her home for almost 2 weeks now. For almost 2 weeks. And there's virtually no outcry to bring her home. And what's even worse is the father of the child knows who took her.
I mean, at this point, I'm kind of at a loss. We are recreating the wheel. You know, and I shudder to think of how many children are actually out there and families are going through this at the same time where we have to kind of teach people their job in order for them to do their job that the taxpayer money goes to pay them to do.
Wow.
Every city has issues, but I really, y'all need all, everybody listening, need to make sure that you support Wright from Maryland and that I win so we can get this city back on track. And that's like not even a joke at this point.
That's not a joke.
So many things.
Now I don't have the young lady's information at hand. Let me try. I'm trying to find it on Open Heart Closed Case. We put so many things out there on Open Heart Closed Case. And if you all in the chat roll would just share Open Heart Closed Case on your websites to all others, This is our commitment to trying to resolve these particular matters, bringing attention and awareness to this particular situation. I know that Sackhead Sean does a great job of doing that on his program. But, ladies and gentlemen, this little girl, here she is. Deidre Wardlow. She's 14 years old. She has been missing for 7 days at the time that we posted this, which was Saturday night. It's almost another Saturday. She's been missing from the home for almost 2 weeks. She is the daughter of mayoral candidate Larry G. Wardlow Jr. So literally, a mayoral candidate, and they could care less. She's just another little girl on the street. And the father writes a wonderful little note. He says, the right here is a big part of why I'm running for office. I'm sorry, that's you that wrote that, but the father also sent a little note regarding the fact that this little girl was a jewel of its life. She's gone. She's literally gone at this particular point. And there is no outcry. There's no public outcry. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this in the chat roll for people to see. And you can do it with a grain of salt if you wish. I want you all to share it with the rest of the world. I'm very serious about this. This has got to get out to the rest of the world. This little girl has been missing for 2 weeks. We know, statistically, if a child is missing out of the home for more than 3 hours, likelihood of the child being found alive is less than 80%. Okay? So literally, get that out there. People have got to find this little girl. It's time to bring her home. Your closing remarks.
There are a lot of issues to be fixed in Baltimore, and I'm ready to do it. And usually I wouldn't be so deliberate about it. Baltimore doesn't have time to waste. Anyone that's interested in finding out how they can help my campaign, please go to Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, for Maryland on Facebook, or look Pastor Shannon Wright. You message me. This is serious. Our cities cannot afford to just be the way they are. It's time to rebuild America.
Thank you so much, Shannon. We are supporting you, and we were promoting you. I hope that you'll be coming. I know you're coming to D.C. for the event with Raynard Jackson. I hope that you'll come down just a little earlier for an event that we're hosting, a Faith Leaders Breakfast at the Ark, 1901 Mississippi Avenue, Southeast Washington, D.C., 2032. Kenya Davis from the Department of Justice Anti-Human Trafficking will be there. She will be talking about this major crisis along I-95. Your daughter, your son is at risk. Trust me on that one. Thank you so much, Shannon. Listen,
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming towards the end. You all know the Sackheads Radio comes on right after my program. I'm just a warm-up. I'm kind of like the Hillary Clinton to their Joe Biden. So I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. A gentleman once told me, without any tribulation or trepidation, that, Ken, I need for you to live bravely. I don't want to see you die a coward. I promise you I always will. On behalf of the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from Washington, D.C., we wish you the very best of good nights. And we also want to remind you this. God has blessed America. It's now time for America to bless God. Good night, everybody. Sackheads Radio, Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint, and Free Sacco, wherever he is, under the auspices of Sackheads Radio. Talk to you all later. God bless and good night.